All right, what is going on, Laker fans? Appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Little post game show action tonight. Nothing live today, so doing this. Sorry for quick hesitation there. Make sure audio is all good. Doing this from my office down in San Diego, but will not be going live. So I got a few things that I got to take care of after this. Going to go have some dinner with my mom. So I'm gonna do about a half hour here, talk a little bit about the game, and I'm gonna get the hell out of here. All right, so Lakers lose 109 to 90 against the Indiana Pacers. 5 game winning streak snap for the Los Angeles Lakers. So that's a wrap right there. Kind of interesting game. Lakers never really controlled the game at any point. I think early on, what's the biggest lead that the Lakers had in this game? Biggest lead for the Lakers, 5. That's it. That's the biggest lead that the Lakers had in this one. Indiana, for the most part, led for most of the game and really kind of started taking control. By the time first half was close, I mean, by the time the first half was done, it was only, I want to say, a 5-point game. But that third quarter and really just the entire second half, they took over. So give the Indiana Pacers credit. They're not a bad team. I think that's one of the things that I think you got to keep most attention to is you can't win every game. And I don't want to make an excuse for the Lakers, but I do think tonight was going to be a tough game no matter what. And to split in those 2 games against the Indiana Pacers is not a surprise to me. I'm not surprised that the Lakers won at home, and I'm not surprised that the Lakers lost on the road. So 109 to 90, the final score. I'm going to get into all this. Please do me a favor if you guys don't mind. Obviously, you guys are watching this after I already posted it. Please subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate that. Okay, let's start off with this. Let's not overreact. Let's not overreact to the Lakers losing this game. And I know there's a lot of Laker fans that, oh my gosh, if we can just get past the Indiana Pacers, damn, we can make this 8-9 games in a row, which you're not wrong there. That obviously over. This would have been the 6th straight win for the Lakers. But I don't want to overreact about the loss. Now, there's some things that I'm going to point out. The Lakers looked incredibly slow, tired already in this road trip. LeBron, 5 turnovers. D'Lo wasn't good. I'm going to get into all that stuff. But I also don't want to overreact on the loss. Lakers have been playing some good basketball. I think they're either 16-7 or 17-7 coming into this game. So they've been playing well. Obviously, to start off this road trip, I mean, this maybe is a completely different conversation if they lost against the Milwaukee Bucks in their first game that they had on the road trip, but they did it. They won that game. And I don't really care about the circumstances, too, whether they were down 19 points and found a way to come back. Obviously, it was a very impressive win. They did it without LeBron James. But what I'm walking away with by the time tonight was done, if you would have told me that through the first 3 games for the Lakers of this road trip, they're 2-1, I take it. I take it. I think that's the way to look at this right now is the 2 games against the Milwaukee Bucks and the Indiana Pacers, 2 of the games that you were going to be 2 of the games that you were going to be probably not favored and expected to lose those games. You won one of them. You split it. You took care of Memphis in the middle game. So you're 2-1 so far on this road trip, and I think that's what Laker fans should pay attention to. Now, I could start getting into the reasons of why the Lakers lost the game, areas they could have been better, but I don't want to overreact too much to this loss because I do think tonight was going to be a tough game no matter what. So let's get into the actual game. Couple things that I kind of want to start off here, and I think this is kind of the theme for me, at least so far in this game tonight. I don't like the sign of Lakers already looking tired. They already look tired. So what I mean by that, it's 3 games in 4 nights. It's traveling and think about all the home cooking that they got basically the entire month of March. They had a span there where 30 days, for 30 days, they didn't leave the state of California. They only had 1 road game in that stretch, technically 2. One of them was a Clipper game. The other one was a game against the Sacramento Kings. So they got a lot of home cooking. They took advantage of it. But the one thing that I think is going to be important with the Lakers are LeBron and Anthony Davis fresh. That's always going to be the question. Where they're 3 games into this road trip, LeBron and Anthony Davis definitely did not look fresh tonight. Specifically, LeBron. I mean, AD still looks like he's laboring that. I think it's his left knee that's the issue. You could tell that he's still laboring it. But Braun looked slow. Braun looked off. Braun looked very careless with his passes. And this happens with Braun sometimes. And I could read you the stat line and tell you, hey, Braun almost had a triple double. He shot 50% from the field, 16 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists. But I think those numbers are deceiving. I didn't feel his effectiveness. He had a lot of bad turnovers. He had a lot of, times where he's trying to take the ball to the basket and they would just strip him or he would make a bad pass. So I thought LeBron really struggled tonight. Only took 12 shots a couple different times. I heard Stu Lance talking about it. Stu was basically saying that he just wanted to see LeBron be more aggressive. He just wanted to see LeBron take more shots. But I don't think, it just didn't feel like he had any energy in that take. Now, what you could say is, okay, it's 3 games in 4 nights, but Bron didn't play in all these games. You could say the same thing for Anthony Davis. AD missed the last one. Bron missed the first one against Milwaukee. So those tired legs could maybe be more – the tired legs could make more sense for other teams, not necessarily for other players, not necessarily LeBron and Anthony Davis. Tired legs make sense for Rui Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, Spencer Dinwiddie. It makes more sense for players like that than LeBron and Anthony Davis. So I'm not going to harp too much on Bron, but that was not a good game for Bron. Did not look fresh. Indiana, who gave up 150 points to the Lakers just 5 days ago, only gave up 90 to the Lakers tonight. 90. So they were flying all over the place on defense. Their defensive intensity, I mean, this is a team that's not a good defensive team. They're the second best offensive team in the NBA. They didn't do anything crazy like they did in that last game against Lakers where they scored 145 on the Lakers and still lost. They scored 46 points in the fourth quarter and still lost that game. But both teams' offenses were much further down. I think for the Lakers, I think it had more to do, like I said, I felt like was tired legs. It's not an excuse. It's just what I observed. Whether okay or not okay, I think that's what it looked like. 3-point shooting. This is a perfect example for the Lakers. They went 5 of 30 from the 3-point line, 16.7% from three. So they were as bad of a 3-point shooting team that I've seen all season long, especially in a game like this where you feel like, all right, you're going to need a lot of things to go your way. There's a lot that you want to see from the Lakers. There's a lot of if you do have tired legs, you're hoping those 3-pointers can kind of keep you in the game. They were really bad from the 3-point line. I don't remember a percentage like that this season. I'm sure it's probably happened, but 5 of 30 is awful. Now, Indiana wasn't amazing, but they did hit twice as many threes as you. They were 10 for 31. They shot 32%. So, that's really your game right there. I'm not too surprised or shocked about this stat as well. And I think this is just it's a stat that follows the Pacers wherever they go. By the way, turnovers 16-10. So already too many turnovers for the Lakers as well. But the stat that I was talking about that I'm not too surprised about, Lakers don't have the strongest bench. Indiana has the best bench in the NBA. TJ McConnell on his own, if I'm correct here, outscored the Lakers bench. Let's see, that's 14 bench points for the Lakers. TJ McConnell had 16 on his own. So you're probably not going to win too many games like that if a player like TJ McConnell is outshining your entire bench. That's a problem. That's a problem. Plus, I think a game like tonight, if there were some tired legs, maybe the idea of saying, hey, let me try to use Max Christie a little bit because he's young, he's fresh, make him kind of run up and down the floor. I would have liked to have seen that personally. He only played 2 minutes basically in garbage time. So that just gives you a little bit of an idea there. Okay, so far, just to recap. I'm not going to overreact to the loss because the Lakers have been playing some really good basketball and they're 2-1 on this road trip. LeBron, bad tonight. Not a good game for LeBron James. 5 turnovers. LeBron was struggling. And then, like I mentioned, the 3-point shooting, just 5 of 30 from the Lakers. You're not going to win too many games on the road if you're scoring 90 points, and you have that as well. I'm assuming the 150 was the highest scoring total for the Lakers this year. The 90 is the lowest scoring total. So how weird is that? A 60-point difference in a 5-day span against the same team. Wow, that's a big difference. You know who else you really, really, really did not feel their impact at all tonight? D'Lo. Nothing from D'Angelo Russell. Nothing. I mean, just couldn't get a shot to fall. 3 of 14 from the field, 0 of 6 from the 3-point line. Indiana was all over him. This was definitely not his night. I don't know a game. It's been a long time since I could remember that D'Angelo Russell, 6 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. That's it. 3 of 14 from the field, 0 of 6. And it's not like he didn't play. He played. He had 35 minutes. What did Rui do tonight? Another 14 for him, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 blocks, but was 5 of 10 from the field. Rui, Austin Reeves, and D'Angelo Russell, as great as those three players have been, I think collectively for this entire Lakers team, just nobody really had it going. Austin Reeves pulled down 13 boards, had 6 assists, so he was trying to find other ways to contribute. Still ended up with 16 points, but just 1 of 7 from the 3-point line. The only other player that I want to mention is Anthony Davis. Obviously, AD did not play in the last one. Gutting it out. I heard Darvin Ham after the game talking about it, how he's just appreciative that this guy is playing through whatever he's playing through, which is actually going to be part of my next conversation, my next topic here. So Anthony Davis ends up with 24 points, 15 rebounds. Again, 109-90, Indiana over the Lakers. So here's what I would like to talk about here. We got 8 games left, I want to say, on the season. So 8 games left. Lakers 8 games over 500. I'm going to continue to say this. I think the Lakers are playing good ball right now. Here's where I would say there's a little bit of concern for the Lakers. Anthony Davis is dealing with this, kind of hyperextension of the knee. Looks like AD's been banged up a little bit. He's on pace to play around 75 games. You just hope Anthony Davis is good for the stretch run and moving forward. Bron, you always have to look at and ask the question about LeBron. Okay, is he good to go? It's still incredible. It's remarkable what he's doing, but you also got to remind yourself, all right, you're still in his 21st season in the NBA. How's his body doing as you get towards the stretch run? And as well as the Lakers have played, standings wise, still sitting in ninth. So you got these guys obviously having to play big time minutes, having to contribute as best as they can, have to be available as often as they can, because the Lakers are still in this weird spot where they're not necessarily moving up the standings. So, and I'll get into the standings. There was some scores. There's some games going on right now. I know by the time you guys watch it, those games are probably going to be done. So I don't want to, talk too much about that. But any final scores I'll get into. Lakers got a little help tonight. They also didn't get a little help tonight. So whatever ends up happening, ends up happening. But the LeBron Anthony Davis piece, just it's impossible to not always keep an eye out on those two players, on how they're feeling, and obviously everything that comes with it. So at this stage, with only 8 games left, how are their bodies? Are they good to go for this final stretch because before you know it, they're going to be in that playing tournament, playing additional games, and obviously trying to get out. The question is going to be, will it be 1 game? Will it be 2 games, depending on where they are in the standings? But the Bron Anthony Davis factor, you got to certainly keep in mind. Okay, I mentioned the standings. So where the Lakers got some help tonight, where the Lakers didn't get some help tonight. Let me do this one first. Some games still going on right now. I'll wait on that stuff. Let me just go with some of these final scores first, because I think this is where the Lakers didn't get much help. Where they did not get much help is from the Golden State Warriors, which is not a surprise. Golden State was playing Charlotte. 115-97, Warriors beat Charlotte. Okay. For what it's worth, Clippers beat the Mavs. Oh, I'm sorry, beat the Magic. Magic. It's a big difference there. So that game is what it is there, but just something to keep in mind. Okay, the other games that were helpful towards the Lakers. Listen, I've said this a couple times. I'm going to keep screaming off this microphone. I have a feeling the Phoenix Suns could very, very easily collapse. Phoenix tonight, they got lucky a couple nights ago when they played Denver and Jamal Murray didn't play. They got lucky tonight that the Phoenix Suns had the Oklahoma City Thunder and Shai Gilgeous didn't play. They still got blown out. So they got blown out 128 to 103. So that is definitely helpful for the Lakers that the Phoenix Suns lost in this game tonight. Could I tell everybody the next three games for the Phoenix Suns compared to the next three games for the Lakers, so you guys can see just the difference between one schedule to another. The Lakers' next three games. Let me actually do this with the standings. It might be a little bit better doing it that way. That way, I could tell you guys what the standings are for each one of those teams. So Phoenix losing was very, very helpful tonight. So we could definitely use that. Okay. Next three games for the Lakers. You got Brooklyn, 16 games under 500. You got Toronto, 23 and 50. So they're 27 games below 500. And you got Washington, 14 and 60. What is that? 46 games below 500. I mean, the three teams they got coming up are awful. Awful. I'll talk about Brooklyn in a little bit. We'll get into that in just a little bit because that's the next game that the Lakers got. So I'll preview that game. But Brooklyn, Washington, and Toronto, those are the next three teams that the Lakers play. Look at the other side for the Phoenix Suns. The next three for Phoenix, they got New Orleans, who's 45 and 28. They got Cleveland, who's 45 and 29. And they have Minnesota, who's 50 and 22. That's the next three for the Phoenix Suns versus the next three for the Los Angeles Lakers. Drastic difference. So if you're the Lakers, just keep winning games. Beat the teams you're supposed to. And if you do, I think the chances of the Lakers getting up to that number 8 seed, I think is very likely. I really do believe that. Now, some of these games are going to be home for Phoenix. We'll see what they're able to do. But and it's not going to get any easier. I mean, after the games I just mentioned, they still have New Orleans, Clippers, Sacramento, Minnesota. So there's a lot of tough games left right now for the Phoenix Suns. And now the Lakers just got to handle their business. But there's the next three for Phoenix. So Golden State won, didn't help the Lakers. Phoenix lost, that helped the Lakers. The rest of the scores right now, just to kind of keep in mind, Minnesota's blowing out the Denver Nuggets. If they end up winning that game, it's going to push Denver down to third. And again, that could be the Lakers potentially avoiding the Denver Nuggets. Jamal Murray not playing in that one. And then Kings are up double digits right now on the Mavericks, but that's still the second quarter. It'd be better, I think, if Dallas won that game, but we'll see what eventually happens in that game. I'm not going to get any further into the standings because based on what I just said is going to depend on, some of the other scores in the NBA. But as of right now, Lakers have a game and a half lead on the Golden State Warriors. They're still going to get to play them again one more time at Crypto later in April. And they got Lakers are 2 games behind the Phoenix Suns as we sit here today. Keep those 3 games in mind that I was talking about. And if Minnesota ends up beating Denver, Denver will be third in the Western Conference. That's something to keep in mind as well. Okay. Quick shout out here. Thank you to our partner. As you guys know, Underdog Fantasy has been with me the entire way this year. I greatly, greatly appreciate their partnership here. So let's talk a little bit about them. Underdog Fantasy, my relationship with them is simple. I reached out to them, told them about post-game show that I'm doing and this channel that I'm trying to build here on Hoops Talk. They were all in. They liked the idea. They liked the concept. So here we are. If you use my code HoopsLA, Underdog Fantasy will give you a $100 deposit match. So if you put in $50, cool, awesome, great. They'll match that $50. Put in $100, they'll match that 100. I'm gonna show you guys how I play here real quick. I always do pick 'em right here. I do pregame as in games coming up tomorrow, and I pick the NBA. I already took Boston and New Orleans are the 2 games, or is the game that I'm focusing on tomorrow. Jaylen Brown, higher or lower than 21.5 points. It's just literally, it's a prediction. It's one or the other. So all you got to do is pick between the two. Higher or lower? I'll go lower on Jalen Brunson or Jaylen Brown. Jalen Brunson, by the way, had a game today. I think he was at 59 when they went to overtime. I don't know what he ended up with. I'll see here. I got ESPN if they put it on. They did not put it on. Zion, higher or lower than 26.5 points? I'll go higher, even though Boston plays defense. Do I flip this? You know what? Let's live a little. I'll go higher on Jaylen Brown, lower on Zion Williamson. Put 20 bucks in. I'm sorry, put 20 bucks in. A chance to make 3 times your money. Use that code HoopsLA. I appreciate you guys hanging out and being a part of this. Those are my picks right there. My picks are submitted. Okay, let's keep it going here. Let's keep it rolling here. What else did I want to get into? So, got into the game a little bit. I said let's not overreact. You guys see Gabe Vincent hanging out there on the bench? So, Gabe Vincent is there. Gabe Vincent is potentially available at some point this trip. We've heard some chatter potentially about Sunday. I'm going to read you guys a quote here. Dave McMenamin, LeBron was talking about Gabe Vincent returning, says, whenever he's ready, we'll welcome him back with open arms. But at the end of the day, we're putting no pressure on him. So he needs to take his time. So, that obviously gives you a little bit of an idea there of Gabe Vincent. Listen, I talked a little bit about Gabe on the radio today. I don't have any expectations for Gabe Vincent, nor do I think Gabe Vincent's going to come in and have a drastic impact. It's just really, really tough to ask somebody who is the number has played only 5 games this year to come in and have an impact. Now, you can have a little bit more depth. Maybe you can give him 10 or 15 minutes. Maybe he gets 5-6 games of playing of the regular season before we get to the play-in. Obviously, the Lakers went out and signed him for a reason, gave him a multi-year deal. So I'd love to see him out there and available, but I just don't have any expectations for Gabe Vincent. Now, if you told me Jared Vanderbilt, that's a completely different conversation, but that is obviously, that has not been the case. We have not got an opportunity to really get too much of an update in regards to Gabe Vincent, or I'm sorry, to Jared Vanderbilt. Let me look here. I'm just going to see if there was anything else said from the Lakers. So we know Gabe Vincent set to return as far as I'm going to read something Shams Charania put out, is expected to make his return to action Sunday in Brooklyn. We'll see what happens there. Vando, the latest, is progressing on a return to play plan, but he has not been cleared for contact yet. That was before the last game the Lakers had against Memphis. So really no news there. I will just say if Gabe Vincent comes back, don't have that much expectations. If Vando comes back, they need him so bad. So from my perspective, the hope is Vando is able to come back as well, because I think they could use his, obviously his as a specialist like he is on the defensive side. Okay, something I want to get into. Should I do preview of the Nets at the end? I'll do preview of the Nets at the end. Did you guys see this story? D'Angelo Russell had a story in Hoops Hype talking about basically how he prefers to stay with the Lakers. Let me read the quote for you. This was on Hoops Hype again. He said, I'd love to be here. He's talking about his contract, potential picking up his option. For those who don't know, he's got an option at the end of this year. He could pick up that player option for $18.7 million for next season, but that's up to D'Angelo Russell. He said, I'd love to be here and continue to give it a run and be where my feet are now. Obviously, I've been on the other side of it, and I've been through the roller coaster free agency, having to sit back and wait. I'm looking forward to not having to worry about that. I've been blessed enough to put myself in this position with my play. I'm definitely planning on taking advantage of that when that time comes. I feel that everything will play out how it's supposed to play out. So obviously he's talking about his situation this upcoming offseason. Listen, I mentioned this morning. I just don't really know what else you can ask for from D'Angelo Russell. He's done everything I think you could possibly expect or want to have happen this year, and he's been everything for the Lakers. Now, I think the question is going to be, how does D'Lo close out the rest of the year? How does he play in the play-in? What do the Lakers end up doing in the playoffs? And what's his impact in all of that? But I think up to this point, the question I think the Lakers are going to have to ask themselves is, if he opts out, that's because somebody's going to offer him some money and some more years. And, will the Lakers want to bring him back and at what level? If he opts in and just takes that 1 year left, I think it's a no-brainer. Bring D'Angelo Russell back. And I think D'Lo has done a good enough job to kind of prove his value and show that he is a player that you can depend on and you can rely on. He's not going to be the second best player on a championship team. He's going to be third or fourth, but I think he's also accepted that role. I appreciate what D'Lo's had, what he's done this year. How can you not? I think anybody complaining about D'Angelo Russell, then you just don't like D'Angelo Russell personally. So the question, like I said, is going to come down to, more than anything else, is D'Lo going to be a player that opts out because he's getting, a deal somewhere else, where now you got to commit another 3-4 years to D'Angelo Russell? I want to wait on that. I don't want to overreact to that. I want to see how the rest of the season plays out, and that's the beauty. You don't have to make a decision until the rest plays out. So we'll see, obviously, what eventually happens on that perspective. But D'Lo has done his job. I think it's important for him to say, "Oh, I'd love to be here," all that stuff. But I think at the end of the day, D'Angelo Russell, he's been all over the place, right? He's played for a number of different teams. I'm sure or I'm sure he would love to call a place home. But money talks, and we'll see what kind of money's on the table for him in the offseason. I think that's actually going to determine what he eventually does. But that 1 year contract that he has remaining with the Lakers, a player option, I got a feeling he's going to opt out of that, because he's had a good enough season where I think other teams will be active out there to try to see if they can, use a player like D'Angelo Russell. So something to keep in mind there. Okay. Lakers on Sunday got the Brooklyn Nets. I was looking at Brooklyn a little bit earlier today. I was looking, by the way, halftime right now, Dallas, Sacramento, 60-51, Sacramento with a 9-point lead. Again, I think it's better for the Lakers if Dallas wins that game. However, that's not the case so far. Minnesota still blowing out Denver, and Houston is up on Utah. So Houston can actually gain a game on the Lakers there in the third quarter. Okay, so Brooklyn real quick. So the Brooklyn Nets. My apologies for not knowing everything about the Brooklyn Nets. I will tell you something. Kind of out of nowhere here, they're an awful team. They're not a good team. So I'm not trying to, talk at all about Brooklyn, and watch out for the Brooklyn Nets. But hypothetically, if the Lakers are already feeling tired on this road trip, you're going to get a day of rest. They're obviously going to travel, I'm assuming tonight, to New York, and they will be in Brooklyn, and probably get tomorrow to kind of rest up for that game against the Nets. Early tip-off. So Lakers and the Nets, it's a 3 p.m. tip-off out here. So 6 p.m. obviously out in the East Coast. So just something to keep in mind. They've won 3 games in a row. So even though Brooklyn's not good at all, they've won 3 games in a row. They won at Toronto, at Washington, 2 bad teams. And then they just beat the Chicago Bulls at home as well, and basically just blew them out. So it is a little interesting that the Lakers are facing the Brooklyn Nets at a time where Brooklyn's actually playing some pretty good basketball. They're an interesting team because they don't have a star. They just got a ton of role players. Look at their contributions tonight. Dennis Schroeder, who's, by the way, on the Brooklyn Nets. I'm sure there might be a little personal there between D'Lo and Dennis Schroeder, of what D'Lo said on, where did he say it? I think it was on his own podcast, I think it was. Cam Thomas, who I think every Laker fan knows, because Cam Thomas lit the Lakers up last time they played in LA. He had 28 tonight against the Bulls. Dennis Schroeder had 27 points. Mikal Bridges had 25 points. They have Dorian Finney-Smith. They have Nick Claxton. They got guys, and that's without Cam Johnson playing in that game. So the only reason why I bring it up is if the Lakers are a little bit tired and they play a Brooklyn team that's feeling pretty good about themselves, they've won 3 games in a row, and they did it tonight without Cam Johnson and without Dennis Smith Jr., then Lakers might get, a real matchup coming up on Sunday. That could potentially happen. And frankly, I don't think it would be the biggest shock or anything along those lines. Again, we just assume Lakers are going to handle business, but you can't really assume anything. This should be the tougher of the final 3 games left. This should be the toughest one at Brooklyn against a team that actually has some players, even though the Lakers should win that game. There's a quote from LeBron here. Dave McMenamin put this out. The Lakers finish off their road trip with 3 straight sub 500 teams in Brooklyn, Toronto, and Washington. But LeBron says that focusing on their records will get you burnt every time. So Braun already trying to send a message to the rest of the team. Do not pay attention to those records, and certainly don't pay attention to that record against the Brooklyn Nets. So that's the last game that the Lakers got, or that's the next game that the Lakers got coming up here. Okay, Laker fans, 5-game win streak snapped. Lakers lose to the Pacers, 109-90, the final score. I appreciate you guys hanging out here. I mentioned I was going to do about a half hour. I'm working overtime now. I'm already working on, getting to that 30-second minute here. That's overtime. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Tomorrow, Sammy will have a preview of the Lakers and the Indiana Pacers. I love what he's doing in the background there. I'm trying to have him kind of find, strengths and weaknesses of the team they're about to play, other storylines that come in. So he's doing a great job. If you guys have not checked out one of those preview videos, I highly encourage you to do so. Hit the like button for him. He's a student, a senior over at San Diego State University, and he's rolling up his sleeves and going to work. So I appreciate what he's doing there. Okay, Lake fans, thank you for tuning in. I will be back Sunday after the Lakers take on the Brooklyn Nets, I think. It is Easter weekend, so I'm going to be spending some time with family this weekend. So we'll see if I'm able to do a video. But my plan is for now to do something. I'm just not 100% sure yet, so I'll do what I can. Thank you, Lake fans. Appreciate you tuning in. Pacers over the Lakers, 109-90. Lake Show looked tired. Couldn't hit a 3 to depend if their life depended on it, but it happens. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good rest of your weekend, Laker fans, and we will get with you soon. Next game, Lakers, Brooklyn Nets on Sunday. Thanks, Lake Show.